all of you. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. How was the workout with how was the workout with Lexi? I hope it was fun. Okay, so I'm about to share my screen. Okay. So good afternoon, ladies. I'm Alexa. Welcome to Romaine. Let's talk about it. So this is a nutrition crash course, courtesy of FlexFit. So thank you so much to the lead coaches for um, sharing your time and sharing, allowing this event for us um, to happen. So, okay, before we start, can somebody tell me what their view about nutrition is? Just like a short answer. What do you think nutrition is and its goal um in making fitness goals? You can unmute yourselves. You can share it in the chat box.
Hi,
Hello.
Hamza here. For me,
Mm-hmm.
nutrition is about balanced diet. You have to get certain balanced diet, like carbohydrate to provide energy, protein to build up muscle, repair, fat is for hormones, and vegetable, fruits, all this as a fiber. So we can't function well without all this, all seven classes of food. And it's just that we need to get nourish our body in an appropriate time, that with appropriate class of food, then you'll get the maximum function for that, maximum benefit of that food class. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, oh my gosh, that's such a great answer. Yeah, I totally agree. Nutrition in the right portions. I'm sorry about the noise. Nutrition in the right portions actually gives you the optimum I would say fuel, right? The optimum fuel for you to produce a great workout. So, thank you so much for sharing that. That was a great answer. Actually, the bulk of what we're going to talk about today. So I'm gonna share with you. These are our topics. So a little bit about me, and then we're going to the basics of nutrition and how it can help you, and then the different diets, and then tips and tricks. Now, if you have any questions in the middle of the presentation, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask me the question. It'll be fine. Okay. So a little bit about me is I have a bachelor's degree in applied physics. I graduated in UST in 2015. I am a flight sister since 2019, and I am currently a fourth year medical student and clinical clerk. So I'm about to graduate med school. I only have about like 5 months left. And yeah, my favorite type of workout is weight training, and my Instagram is at Aleksa Castillo. Now, if you have any if you have any questions about throughout the series or just any time about nutrition, feel free to always DM me on Instagram. Now, I would like to just provide a disclaimer that even though I am not a nutritional registered nutritionist and dietitian, I have studied this topics in med school, and this what I'm about to share with you has all been topics that we have been taught about in med school, and these are always backed up by scientific journals and websites that are always credible. Okay, so aside from that, I am also the co-owner of Good Omen Home, which is a online shop that specializes in personalized goods. I am owning it with two of my other medical interns, both who are both my friends, and I am also one half of Double A. So I do nutritional coaching at Double A with my friend Ara, who is a sports science graduate. She does the workout aspect. I do the nutrition aspect. Now, with regards to the Empowered You program, um, Sophie actually shared with me that um, these these were the answers, and it was such a whopping number of how people and how generally girls themselves view nutrition and the goals that they set for fitness. Now, with the highest number being tone. Now, I want to address this later in the presentation. That toning, and then it came up 16 times, and then losing weight 13 times, weight loss 8 times, muscle gain 3 times, and stronger 8 times. Now, it's like Sophie said, it was like when you think about it, why is it always focusing on losing? Why can't we like look at ourselves and look at the aspects of how we are winning in life and how we are showing up for ourselves and being a better person for ourselves now. So I just wanted to address this and see how it is, how I want to change this mindset for you, and help you establish a really good relationship with food. Now, okay, I bring you this quote that until you get your nutrition right, nothing will change. Why do you say that? As an example, I will use myself because I firmly believe in this statement because it has really put an impact on how I am, um, how I reached my fitness goals personally. So this is my picture. This was my first year of fitness, and I was heavily into progress photos because I knew that even if I weighed, because of my body type, even if I weighed more, I also had the I also had to, focus on nutrition and then understand how it would look like on my body. So as you can see in these two photos, in Feb 2019, I remember going to my gym and I was asking I was looking and I said, why am I not growing in the amount, like gaining the muscle that I want, even with the consistent training? This was like 6 months of training and I was always going into progressive overload and all of that. And then come to find out, I was only eating my calorie maintenance. Now, um, fast forward to 8 months later, after going into a surplus because I am after going into a surplus because I am an ectomorph. Um, oops, sorry. Okay. After going into a surplus, um, I was then able to reach my fitness goals, and yeah, as you can see on the right, oops, sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, wait. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, okay. After going into a caloric surplus, so this was around 2,000 calories. I was eating, my maintenance calories are around 1.5. After eating, because I was working out two hours a day, almost not almost every day. I would say like 4 times a week. After going into around 2,000 calories in a day, that's when I understood how much its effect on me because I actually gained the muscle mass 8 months later, and with the same type of training that I was doing. Now, I want to present to you this golden pyramid of fat loss. Now, this golden pyramid of fat loss, as you can see, in opposite to what I was doing is the so it's fat loss, right? I was focusing on gaining muscle. So here is fat loss, and we can see that the biggest chunk is caloric deficit. Now, if you look into the all the in order of how it is in importance, you can see that cardio is actually the smallest part of the triangle, right? It's important, but even if you do all the cardio in the world, but you're still not in a deficit, you will not get to the amount of weight loss that you optimally will work for you. Okay. So that's why I want to stress the importance of the caloric deficit. It will, it is the basis of how you are going to reach your goals. Now, going higher up, we can see that it is lifting weights, right? Now, lifting weights is, we would often think as girls, especially as girls, that we would often think that lifting weights will make us bulky. But even with the amount of training that I was doing, I wasn't getting bulky. I wanted to gain the muscle mass just because I wanted to reach a healthy BMI. But I wasn't bulky. It wasn't like, it didn't look nice on me as a girl. You know, the typical stereotypes of it as a girl. Oftentimes, sometimes the people that you see on Instagram, these are people that I would say that they do this 24 hours in a day. You know, that the people like CrossFit where they're like super ripped and all the abs and like that. Because that's generally that's their it's first of all it could be their job. That's the only thing that they're doing. Or yeah, so they're focused on that only thing going into fitness. So that's why they see, they want to look that way. They want to look a certain way. But generally, just lifting weights in the weight room with the normal amount of as it is, you will not get bulky. It will not make you look big. It actually burns a lot more because it's a type of resistance training comparing to just doing cardio. Okay, so another important thing that I would like to stress in this pyramid is protein intake. Now, protein intake is the second portion of the triangle, just because protein is the basis for all the building of the muscle that is happening. And I will address this more later in the presentation. So, what are the benefits of knowing your daily intake? I would like to stress this because knowing your daily intake also it helps you understand what really goes into your body and then what you get out of it. Okay, so first of all, we accomplish fitness goals. It is also called body recomposition. And then second is foster a good relationship with food. If you are too restrictive with your diet, for example, in understanding that your daily intake, for example, is around 1,500, understanding that you need that to fuel and function your body normally, you will create a better relationship with food because you do not restrict yourself too much to the point that later on you actually end up binging. So that is the second point, and then the third point is you are able to fuel your body. Again, knowing your daily intake also helps you understand that there are certain number of calories that you need to you do your daily functions, such as breathing, digesting your food, doing all the normal walking around the house. You need calories to fuel that. It's not just to fuel the exercise. Okay, now I would like to go into the different types of body types. Now, the importance of knowing this is that um, a certain type of workout, a certain type of workout will work better for a certain type of body type, and will also help you cater to your fitness goals. So, for example, me, I'm an ectomorph. Generally, we have a lower body fat percentage and a higher muscle mass. So we are typically called the long and lean people. And then the mesomorph, they have a higher amount of body protein, muscle. So they are the compact people. These are the people that they usually call big build because they have bigger bones or bigger muscles generally. And then an ectomorph has a higher percentage of body fat and a lower percentage of muscle. So let's start with the basics first. What is macronutrients? Okay. Generally, this talk is focused on what are macros and how to count your macros. So what is macronutrients? Macronutrients is the nutrients that provide the calories or energy and are required in large amounts to maintain body functions and carry out the daily activities of life. Now, it is generally divided into three big categories. We have carbs, proteins, and fats. Now, I want you to start, if you are going to take away anything from this presentation, I want it to be this triangle. Now, when you look at this triangle, remember that the biggest portion of your energy that your body recognizes comes from carbs. Okay. Now, remember when we were young, my mom would always tell me, she would say, "Why don't you eat breakfast? It's hard to study when you have nothing in your stomach." The reason why is that the only the only macro that your brain uses as energy is carbs. It's the only form of energy that your brain recognizes. If you don't have carbs, if you don't have anything starchy, it's not able to function. Your brain is not able to function. That's why carbs is the primary source of energy because it doesn't recognize any other type of macros. Okay? Now, next is fats. Fats is a shock absorber. Now, it is also we use fat as a vessel to bring the hormones to the different parts of the body. Okay, that's a function of fats. Now, protein is called the muscle builder. It's a hormone and muscle builder. Without protein, you will not be able to create muscle. Okay, now going further, this triangle. When you are on a diet, you would want to remove the biggest portion of the energy that your body uses. For example, you start with carbs. Remove carbs. Its next source of energy is going to be fats. Okay. And then when you remove fats as well, if you remove the bottom two chunks of the triangle, it's going to go into protein. Okay. Now, um, that's the whole conception of diet of how it is, because the majority of our diet is always composed of carbs. Now if you remove the bottom triangle, it's gonna go your body in, because it's trying to look for a another source of energy. It's going to look for fat as its source of energy, and then it's going to look for protein. Okay. Now, um we would always like to prioritize protein. We would always like it to be the smallest tier. You don't want to break down protein, because that's how you gain the muscle that you want. That's how you build your body. Okay. Now, for example, this is why they call it keto. Okay, because you remove the total chunk of carbs, right? And keto is actually a short term for ketolysis. So in biochemistry, there's a process called ketolysis, or yeah, ketolysis, where it goes to your liver. Your body goes to your liver and asks its liver, okay, we are out of carbs, we are out of glucose, we are out of sugar. What are we going to do? Can you please find somewhere where we can get some fat? Okay. And then they're gonna take that fat, they're gonna break it down and turn it into ketones. And then you use that ketones as energy. Now, I would like to let you understand that a keto diet is not supposed to be sustainable. It's not supposed to be something that you do for life. This is your body's way to process that there is no more energy. So it goes into an overdrive, and it wants to find some other place of energy. Okay, but this is not supposed to be an everyday thing. It's just because you do not have any more glucose or carbohydrates stored in your body. Yeah, so that's the role of fat. And then for protein, again, it's a muscle builder. Now, this total triangle comprises your daily intake in a day, right? Now, the fat macromolecule does not actually make you fat. That's not how it works, okay? Any in excess of these total the three triangles will make you gain weight, because you are in a caloric surplus. Again, if you are eating from more than your maintenance calories, you are in a surplus. If you are eating less than your maintenance calories, then you are in a deficit, right? Now, the fat macromolecule again does not make you fat. But if you convert it to a if you convert these to calories per gram, it's gonna weigh more. Okay. For example, I give you one gram of carb, it's only gonna give you 4 calories. If I give you 1 gram of fat, it's going to give you 9 calories. Okay. Is that clear for everyone? Now, the reason why this is the reason why certain types of bad food, for example, like Nutella, whatever chips and all of that, they are higher in, compared to the other two, such as carbs and protein. They are higher in calories because there is a higher amount of fat in them. So when you convert the fat content, it's gonna be a higher amount because it's 9 compared to 4 of protein and 4 of carbs. Okay, I hope that's clear for everyone. Now, again, so this total triangle is the total energy requirement. Now, you need around 1,000 calories to perform your basic functions. What are those basic functions? From the total energy requirement, you need around 1,000 calories minimum, in a minimum, to use for digestion, to use for breathing, to use for all the different types of body functions that your body needs for transporting blood, digestion, all of that stuff. that you don't even recognize as something that is functioning in your body, right? It's something, involuntary. Now, the total energy requirement for in a day, you divide that into five basic components of the macro counting. You first start with desirable body weight in kilograms. How do you get the desirable body weight in kilograms? This is not subjective definition, okay? This is based on your height. Now, there's a certain number of body weight in kilograms that will be healthy for your height. Okay? But you do not base that also on BMI, because BMI sometimes, if you have a higher muscle mass, it's gonna throw off the scale, because generally muscle weighs more than fat, right? But again, the desirable body weight is the amount of body weight in kilograms proportionate to your height. Now, next is the basal metabolic rate. So this is the amount of energy that you consume. Like again, as I said, for the involuntary functions such as um, digestion, breathing, and all of that. So basal metabolic rate, this is the amount of calories you consume on a daily basis when you are awake but resting. And the next is the corrected BMR. Now, corrected BMR focuses on sleep. Now, for that, we have to account for the number of hours of sleep, because there are certain you have to adjust your BMR because it's different when you're sleeping versus when you are awake. Now, the energy for physical activity. So this is the energy that you need for the workouts that you do. And then lastly is the energy for specific dynamic action of food. This is the energy, the calories that you need for you to digest your food. Okay. So you need a certain number for that also. Now, here is the here is a okay. This is just for the interest of time. I'm not going to go into all of these computations. You may take a screenshot if you want to. But I will further explain the importance of the two percentages you can see in the energy for physical activity and the energy for specific dynamic action of food. So, um, we start with the desirable body weight in kilograms. So you take your height in centimeters minus 100. That's your kilograms desired body weight, KDBW. And then if you're a Filipino, you subtract 10%, because generally for smaller frames like Asians, Filipinos, um, you have to subtract 10% to account for that. And then basal metabolic rate is 1 calorie times 24 hours times the kilograms desired body weight that you got equals to the BMR, and then you get the corrected basal metabolic rate by multiplying that by the hours of sleep, and then the energy for physical activity, and then the energy for physical activity actually based on your activities of daily living. Um, for example, you are I would say a nurse. Majority of the shift when you are a health worker, you are on your feet. You're walking to it in the hospital, going from this floor to that floor, going to patient's room. There's a certain amount that you can consider to categorize yourself into a certain level of physical activity. Okay, even if you work out 2 hours a day, for example, that would not consider you as a heavy physical activity. That would still be considered light, just because majority of your day you're still gonna be sitting down. It's either you're on the bed, or the majority of physical activity isn't doing something that actually requires moving around, right? Now, the total energy requirement then turns into CBMR plus plus energy for physical activity plus specific dynamic action of food. Now, okay, here's what I mean by if you go back here into the energy for physical activity, you divide that into you this percentage is different from the specific dynamic action of food. Okay, that's gonna be two different values. Now, here is for these are the five categories. We start with bedridden. Now, bedridden is usually when the patient is comatose or vegetative. And then sedentary is when there is absolutely no physical activity at all. For example, um, they're always just lying down, sitting on they don't really work out. There's no walking involved, nothing. Now for light, I would consider this as the average population would be light because they generally do physical activity such as working out for 30 minutes a day, doing walking. I would consider most of the flex sisters in the light category. And then we go into moderate. For the computations, you can use for light it would be 7%, and then for moderate it would be 30%. For light for energy of physical activity would be 30%, and then for the specific dynamic action of food, it would be 7%. So I would give you a PDF of how to compute it later on. So, and then we go into moderate, and then for heavy, as you can see, the example I was given, because they do it so often in the day, majority of their days just lifting things and constant work on their feet. This is why you consider them a heavy worker. Now, after you find out your total energy requirement for the day, you then portion that out into how you want your goals. For example, for me, uh, I would go into a higher carb for bodybuilding. Why is that so? Because I do not want to break down my protein, right? If we go back to the triangle, think about the triangle. If we go back to the triangle, I do not want to break down my protein because I want to gain the muscle that I want. Now, how am I going to maintain that protein if I don't have any source of carbohydrates or fat, right? It's gonna break down my protein because I have no other energy source to use. I want a higher carb because I want my body to keep on burning and burning and burning the carbs while also maintaining the weight that I want, while also gaining the muscle that I want, right? Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we are going to lower the carb, as you can see here on the right. We are going into a lower carb. So on because we want to remove that bottom triangle, we want we want the body to keep on burning uh, the fat, the fat and the protein that we have, right? So why do we want a higher portion of protein? Why do we want a higher portion of protein? Because even though we do not have any carbs and fat left, we want to keep on maintaining that amount of protein so that we lose the fat, we lose the other portion of the triangle, but maintain the muscle mass in our body. Okay. Now, this will all be in moderation when it's for maintenance calories only. But I want you to remember that goals cannot be compounded. You cannot lose fat, but also gain muscle. Okay. It's really hard. I think that in even my even Ara and my other coaches, they think the same that it's very hard to compound these goals, especially when you have a higher percentage of body fat. Okay, the toning thing, as we are going to address later, is not because you lost fat. Okay, it's because also you gained muscle. Now, yeah, so I want you to understand that these goals cannot be compounded. Generally, you go first with losing fat, and then you go on to gaining muscle. Now, I'm going to teach you how to read a nutrition label. So I made this diagram. So as you can see here, number of servings per cup is one in a 1 cup of uh, fruit yogurt. It has 130 kcal. So its total fat is 6 grams. Its total carbohydrates has 15 grams, and then total protein has 3 grams. Now, for here, we can see here that it says a total of 126 kcal. If you break this down, the total fat, carbs, and protein, 6 grams times 9, it's 9 because, as I said earlier, fat has a higher calories per gram compared to protein and carbs, right? It has 9 calories per gram. So 6 times 9, because 6 is the one here in the diagram, times 54. And then carbs is 15 times 4 because we have 4 grams per calories of carbs. And then that's equal to 60. And then protein, so 3 grams, as you can see here in the label. 3 grams times 4 grams per calorie is equal to 12 kcal. So if you add all of this, so 54 plus 60 plus 12, it's 126. Now, usually labels, they're not really that accurate because it's an estimate. This is always an estimate. But if you really want to be nitty gritty with your food, you can do this to each of your for the things that you consume. But it's a plus minus 5. But sometimes, even if they put it, for example, if you're gonna put it in Myfitnesspal and you really want to be nitty gritty about it, you can do it. You can really you can really compute and look at it that way. Now, I want to address the diet culture. Now that we've understand all of that, the basics of macros and all of that, I want to address the diet culture. So earlier we said I talked about keto. So I'm gonna talk about now about juice cleansing. Now, if you compare solid food versus liquid, it's always gonna be that liquid will be easily absorbed by your body. Okay, that's why pre-workout, the things that they have caffeine in them, it's easy. That's why you feel it so quickly. It's because it's in liquid form. Now, relating this to the triangle, if you look at the triangle, these are all things in some way, shape, or form that are going to put you in a caloric deficit. Okay. Now, juice cleansing, the reason why it doesn't work for me, as I understand it, is that you go from eating meals 3 times a day, and then you go to just drinking juice for I don't know how long, probably a week. So what you end up doing is that you constantly feel that you are hungry because even though it's full of vitamins and minerals, what happens is there's no healthy fat, there's no actual thing to digest. Your body does not recognize because it's all liquid. So it just absorbs everything. So what happens is you end up binging because there is not um enough amount of things to digest, and then you generally just bounce back to all the old habits that you were doing. So that's why I don't recommend juice cleansing, because it's really just I would say a fancy way to drink your vegetables, and you can always do that on a regular healthy balanced diet, right? Now, intermittent fasting then plays on with the timing of your food. How does this play with the triangle? If you think about the triangle, it's going to intermittent fasting, you eat only for 8 hours a day, right? And then for the 16 hours remaining of your day, you don't eat. Um, if you think about it, during that 8 hours, you consume all the food, you consume your daily intake, and then for the remaining 16 hours, you digest all of that. Now, what happens is your body is trying to recognize all the different macros, and then it's trying to digest and remove everything that it ate, because for the remaining 16 hours, you're not eating anything. So it's all stored in your body. So it's just trying to break it down, find okay, there's no more carbs. Let's look for fat, and then break that down, and then let's look for protein. So, but generally, even if you eat the same amount of PER in a day, the same amount of maintenance calories that you need in a day, it's not going to work, because again, at the end of the day, it's if the total that you eat in that 8 hours, it's still gonna be the same. You just fasted for the remaining 16 hours, and you do that on a regular basis. When we go to sleep, technically that's why it's called breakfast, because you break the fast, right? So it's the same thing, it's the same concept, it's just a longer time period. Now, what are some tips and tricks that I would like to share with you? I would like to tell you that you should start small. Take a step back, assess your eating habits, and try to see what needs to be changed. I used to be the type of person that could eat a bag of candy in one sitting. I wouldn't care, because I wasn't understanding how this could affect me. And eating a bag of candy in one sitting is not healthy for me. So I understood that. Um I wasn't happy with how I was doing the method that I was doing, because I wasn't these were not things that I should be doing, right? So you start small. For example, you should ask yourself, I think, that what are the habits that I would like to remove from my life. So if you'd like to drink, for example, milk tea, for example, we would say probably 3 times a week. Maybe lessen that first. Go on to 1 times a week, or maybe you're reducing the sugar first. until it becomes a habit for you that you don't really look for it. You don't really you don't really want to consume it anymore because you know in yourself that it's not healthy for you. But if you try to overhaul your diet, if you start with, for example, you try to meal prep, you try to do this, and this all at the same time. For me, I thought that that was gonna be it's so overwhelming because you have so many things happening at one point. For example, like you are trying to also track your macros with that because it's not a habit. You haven't built that habit, and it's not going to be sustainable. But if you actually build up to it, you start small, remove the bad habits, and then go into picking the right food. You create a better mindset with food, and you understand that there are things that you can do, and there are things that you shouldn't do just because you know it's how it's going to affect you. Now, I want to also share with you the principle of the 80-20. 80% of the time, if you put in the work, you can enjoy 20% of it. Now, if you, for example, for me, 80% of the time I would be eating right. I can have a dessert. I can have that glass of milk tea because I know that 20% of that 80% of the time I am putting in the work and I am fueling my body. So I'm allowing myself 20% to enjoy all the other things that I would like to enjoy, right? But if you are 80% not eating right, 80% not doing in the work, how are you gonna allow yourself to enjoy when you know that majority of the time you're not doing what is best for you, right? Now, I also want you to remember that you should be patient and stay consistent. Now, it's not always gonna be, life happens, there's birthdays, there's graduation parties and all that. But at the end of the day, if you enjoy that birthday party, if you enjoy that graduation party and eat at a fiesta or a big gathering, the next day you can always go back. You can always start over again. Okay? You don't need to punish yourself. But if you are doing 80% of the work at the time, you are going to reap those benefits. So after a certain number of certain period, let's say 6 weeks, you're gonna be able to see results because you are consistent with how you are. Now, if you want to be super nitty gritty about the macro counting, I would always recommend Myfitnesspal because Myfitnesspal tells you about your goal and then the amount of food you consume. You just literally enter everything. Example, you have one banana, enter one banana. Yeah, so that's for breakfast and lunch and then dinner. And then it's gonna minus exercise from that, and then it's going to show you the total amount that's remaining, and it's going to show you the portion of the calorie breakdown in a chart, in a pie chart. But if that is too much for you, if you want to start a little bit at a time, I would recommend the plate method. So if you have the plate method, if you know how much you are supposed to be eating in a day, for example, me, I want to go into bodybuilding. I would divide my plate in a as you can see on the left portion of the screen. I would divide my plate according to those portions, and then consume that same amount. Okay. So as you can see on the diagram on the right, for example, this would be for weight loss. They consume a lower amount of carb and then a higher amount of protein and fat. Now, portion control. Portion control is just as important as the amount that you're consuming, right? So this is a good diagram to remember how much portions you are consuming in a day. So if you want 1 cup of rice, you just follow the same size as your fist. And then if you want the portion of protein is the same size as your palm. And then a thumb is equal to 2 tablespoons. And then a cupped hand is equal to half a cup. And then a fingertip is equal to 1 teaspoon. Why is this important? Because 1 teaspoon of 1 teaspoon of, for example, cooking oil, like the regular vegetable cooking oil, is equal to 120 calories already. So if you consume very high amounts of cooking oil, that's going to add up. That's going to be a very big portion of your calorie intake. Now, how does that translate to protein? Why am I always stressing about protein? Because protein is actually very hard to consume in your diet. But if you understand the amount of portions that you could consume, it's going to be easier for you. For example, um, you generally need, again, zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of protein in a day. That's how much per pound body fat, per pound body weight, sorry. Zero point 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per pound body weight in a day. So, for example, I am 125 pounds. I would need to consume 125 grams of protein. Now, how does that translate to food? A chicken breast, as you can see in the picture, for example, is the size of my hand. That would be around 23 to 25 grams of protein. So for me, I would need to eat around four or five portions of that chicken in a day. Chicken breast. That's how much protein I need to consume in a day. Now, an egg, for example, only has 6.3 grams of protein. Now, to supplement that, that's why we need supplements, is because sometimes it is really hard to consume that amount of protein. Imagine if you are going to eat that much amount of protein, it's really going to challenge how you look at food and um how you understand your diet, because you always feel it's kind of overwhelming how you always feel that it's so much food. Now, that's when supplements come into play, because typically a scoop of protein powder is around 23 grams. So you remove one portion of the protein that you need in a day. If you don't meet that, if you don't meet that much amount, like 125 grams, it's okay. I would, for example, for me, I would goal myself around 190 to 100 grams of protein, just so to keep my protein high and still meet my goals. Now, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope you got something from this presentation. Feel free to ask any questions now. The floor is open. If you want me to go back to any of the slides, it's totally fine. Yeah, thank you. Any questions, ladies? Oops. Yeah, I know it's hard to understand. It's hard to eat six pieces of chicken in a day. But I would totally recommend just you portioning it out portioning it out to a different type of protein. For example, I would do protein shakes. That's the easiest way for me to get in protein, is I would eat protein shakes, because I could put in oatmeal, banana, peanut butter. Peanut butter is a really good source of protein, and healthy fat. And then yeah, so that's how when you combine it, when you look at it, it's just not the protein powder that's going to be the source. There are also other sources of protein. How much percentage of from Erin is how much percentages of macros to put in MyFitnessPal? Um, you could there's a goal setting there that you could put, and that you indicate just how much you need to consume. So it's gonna show you at the end of the day the amount of percentages that you consume. So a question for Jen: if you start to switch from a low carb to a high carb diet following the pie charts earlier to build muscle, how do you make sure you're not eating too much carbs and get fat? Again, that still focuses on the total amount of percentages, the total amount that you consume in a day. So that's total energy requirement. Now, so wait, let me close this. Okay. So for example, you would your total energy requirement needed is around 1.5. If you think that you already met, that's when the desirable body weight goes into play. For example, I am already 50 kilograms. My desirable body weight is at 49 kilograms. I would only need to lose around 1 kilogram to reach my desirable body weight. So I can then go into I could then go into what's it called? I could then go into gaining my muscle. So I could now go into a higher carb and you know fuel my body to gain the muscle that I need, right? Um, yeah, because I already meet my desirable body weight for my height. Okay, I hope that that answered your question. Because generally, if you are going to build muscle, you really need to increase your carbs so that you don't break down the other portions of your triangle. A question from G: what if I love doing cardio and I'm an ectomorph? Do I still take more carbs or protein? Generally, in the triangle, I would always tell my clients to always prioritize your protein. If you're an ectomorph like me, I would change the style of my weight training. So I would change the type of training that I want because cardio always lets you burn more. It's always gonna decrease your body weight. So it's okay to do cardio, but if you want to gain muscle, it's not going to help you reach those goals compared to if you did it the other way around. If you do it with um, if you just want to lose weight because you're an ectomorph already, you're already generally skinny, you can do cardio. But if you want to gain muscle and look you look chunky and look with with cuts and all of that, um, you need to really increase your carbohydrates. So to answer your question, G, I would prioritize your protein, and also eat a lot more carbs. So what I did before, because I was in school, um, I couldn't always meal prep. So I would do is I would buy 2 cups of rice. I would buy 1 cup of rice, but eat a bigger portion of protein. So I would eat a lot of ulam, and then yeah, and then a lot more veggies. Now, just to fill my, it would still be in a caloric surplus because I ate so much protein. Okay. Another question from Erin is, what happens if you consume your daily calories correctly, but not the correct amount of protein, fats, and carbs? You are not going to. It's not going to optimally help you because it's not in the right proportions. Okay. Because again, with regards to the triangle, for example, you want to really lose weight. You're not gonna be able to lose weight if you eat carbs because your body isn't burning the fat because you are eating the amount of carbs that you are. Yeah. So that's why I want to let you understand the triangle. Because if you remove that carb proportion, your body is really going to burn the fat. It's gonna look for the fat and burn it. Now, I was surprised that you need from comment from them was I was surprised that you need to eat more carb and not pala to gain muscle. Yeah, I was also surprised when I understood that concept because yeah, it's such a big role in gaining that muscle because if you would think about it, no, it's gonna make me fat and all of that. Yeah. Um, generally, okay, the toning thing. When you want to tone, it's not because you lost all the weight, right? It's not because you removed all the fat in your body. Okay, when you want to tone, you lost all the fat and then you gained the muscle, okay? The toning part, the muscle, the shape that you get from toning actually comes from the muscle the shape of the muscle, okay? Because you increased your muscle mass. That's what I wanted to say about toning. Compared to just losing all the fat, you're just gonna look skinny. But if there's no muscle mass underneath all of that to give you that shape, you're not gonna get the shape. Okay, that's the common misconception that you get with toning in general. You really need to increase your muscle mass to get that shape. Okay. Another from Erin is I'm a 5 flat female at 100 pounds. My goal is to get 60% muscle mass. What do you think I should maintain at 1,500 calories or gain more weight? Okay, so I would recommend Erin, if you are 5 flat. Okay, let's compute that for a bit. Sorry. One, five, So you are 152 centimeters, point 4. You minus that by 100, so you get 52.4. And then you minus 10% of that. So that is, sorry, give me 1 second. So 52, oops, 52.4 minus 10%. So your ideal body weight is around 47.16 kilograms per body weight. Um, if you generally want to gain muscle, you really, you're already 100 pounds. Okay, 100 pounds. You're already 100 pounds, sorry, divided by 2.2. So that's 45. Okay. 47 is your current weight and you want to go down to 45. I would generally just suggest that you go into a bodybuilding type of portions. Just because I think the 2 kilograms can be addressed by weight training. First of all, weight training and doing a higher amount of activity on your rest days. So I recommend usually is higher rest days. Sorry, higher activity on rest days, such as going for a walk, going for a jog, or if you are going to work out, do your warm up as something as cardio, for example, like doing jump ropes or doing a hit portion like a hit workout if you are doing weight training in combination. So that's going to help you lose the extra 2 kilograms, but also still continue because you are weight training, still continue to increase that muscle mass. Okay, so I think that you should go into a bodybuilding and then go into a bodybuilding style of food, and then your training should be focused on weight training or resistance. Is it better to eat before or after a workout? I would suggest eating before, just because that works for me. Because I'm not, there are some types of workout that you just feel like you're lightheaded because you didn't eat before a workout. So I generally recommend that you eat 2 hours before a workout, around two. And if you are super, for example, in the morning, you want to work out in the morning and you don't have the energy to eat yet, you can consume a banana. Banana is a really good pre-workout. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any more questions, ladies?
Hi, can I ask a question and tell me what am I doing is correct or not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before I
Mm-hmm. This is
going to work
Hamza.
out.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I would eat a lot of high carbs
Mm-hmm.
food before when
Mm-hmm.
I lifting weight. I'm more into
Mm-hmm.
strength training,
Mm-hmm.
lifting, and toning. That's my major part of my workout. I do that like 4 to 3 days in a week. So I eat a lot of high carbs food before I go into the gym session, like 2 hour. Okay. Then after I done, I will take high protein food. So this is what have been my food food style. Or I will not touch high carb when I at the late at night. I do not do that. So I just take oats or more on high protein. Is it okay? Is there anything that I can change? And then for me, like even I did lift weight. I mean, like lifting. Let's say 1 hour, 50 minutes weight session, and 10 minutes will be like cardio, like jumping rope. Finish it with the jumping rope. So is it okay, or is there any issue with that? Or
And no, for me personally, do you think that you want to change how you look? Do you want to, or you're happy with how you look? And um, yeah, do you
I
want
would
to change
wanted
how
to
you look?
add some muscle mass more on certain part of my body. I used to have a rectangular shape,
Okay.
but because I'm changing the shape of my body, so I would add more weight training for a certain part of the muscle, like upper body, shoulder weight,
Mm-hmm.
and then lower body for my side booty or something like that. And I
Yeah.
still wanted to maintain very trim mid weight waist actually.
Okay. For me, I think you are doing great. You are that the the type of training that you were doing is great. Your meal timing is right. You are eating a high amount of carbs just because, like again, I said, you don't want to break down the fat and the protein. You want to maintain that in your body to get the muscle mass that you are gaining. And you've seen, right, from your previous regimen to now,
Mm.
from as you again said, like you got a rectangular body and then now you have more shape. Yeah, I would suggest that you do a, maybe you are not doing a progressive overload. Are you
Yeah,
doing
okay.
progressive overload? Progressive overload for all the other ladies is that you are doing, for example, this week you are lifting 5 pounds. You go into a higher weight or higher reps the next time that you do it. So next time you could do 5 reps at, if you start this week at 5 reps at 20, you do it next week at 5 reps at 30. And then if you're doing according to weight, you start at 5 reps and then next week you do 5 pounds. You did this week at 5 pounds. Next week you do it at 7 pounds. So there's a higher amount of resistance. So you keep on doing that at a certain amount of block periods. That's how you get the muscle. That's how you gain the muscle, is because it's a higher stimulus, a harder stimulus for your body to overcome. So yeah, so I just wanted to address that because it
Mm.
breaks apart, it builds again, breaks apart, builds again, because you are constantly putting your body into stress. So I think I you should go into, yeah, progressive overload. But all the other concepts that you are doing is perfect. And especially at night that you are doing complex carbs. Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
job. Okay. So a question from Erin is, what is the optimal strength training session? An optimal strength training session for me would be 4 sets of 12 reps. Depending on your fitness level, for me, it's 4 sets of 12 reps. You can start at 8 if you're a beginner to weight training. Start at 8, go on to 10, and then go on to 12. Um, Generally, an weight training program is composed of a three different things. There is a what's it called? Muscle. There is a time, tempo, and the other one, time, tempo, and stimulus. So what happens is the time. So there are reps where you go, for example, squats. You go low from start at 10, start at 5, then go low 4, 3, 2, 1. You go slow going down. And there's 8. So those are time and tempo. And then there's a, for example, the weight based is you go at a, like a drop set. You would start at a drop set. So it's gonna be like, for example, 25 pounds, then go 35, and then 45. Sorry, other way around. 45, 35, and then 25. So yeah, so there's a different what's it called? Mixture of things that the body uses as stimulus. So a optimal strength training session would start at 4 sets, 12 reps each. You could do 5 exercises. I would recommend 5 different exercises for the legs. So that would be, and then targeting a different muscle group each time. So if you're doing squats and then you do good mornings or Romanian deadlifts, and then you do pistol squats. It just depends. It's a different mixture of things. You do calf raises, all of that. So it doesn't, if you're focusing on legs, it's not always like squats, squats, squats. That's not how you do a optimal training session. Okay. You have to focus on the different muscle groups, because there's the front part of your legs, there's the back part of your legs, there's the butt, there's the calves and all of that. Okay. Now, the question from Myla is, what is the best time to drink whey protein, during or after the workout? For me, it doesn't really, the timing of it is not really important for me. Of course, the best is after workout, just because you already done the stimulus, you already put your body through the stress. So it's nice to do it after the workout so that your body has the building. Wait, sorry. Okay, the body already went to that stress. So after the workout is, you feed your body with the amount of protein that you need. So I would recommend after, but generally in a day, if you already worked out, just drink it throughout the day, or drink it in that 24-hour period. How to do progressive overload at home with reps since barely any weights. If you cannot go over 30 reps. Um, how do you do? I would say that you do a higher rep or you do a tempo based workout. So oftentimes there are workouts that you can actually feel it burning. Like you feel like it can't go any more harder than that. Um, so uh, progressive overload still follows that principle in the sense that you are just going to apply a different stimulus to it compared to all the compared to just sticking to 30 reps all throughout the 6 weeks that you're doing an exercise. Okay, because your body as it grows stronger, it doesn't respond to the stimulus more. So you just have to change your variations of the workout to make it harder for you. Okay, if you can't go over 30, yeah, you generally don't go over 30 reps. I would decrease the training time, decrease the rest time, sorry, decrease the rest time. So if you were doing 1 minute, do it 30. And then if you are really fatigue the muscle, that's the goal, is you really fatigue the muscle. Best exercise for fat loss, I would still recommend weight training. And I would fat loss for me, the exercise does not fall onto one category because it always has to be something that you are enjoying. So I would say, like for me, I don't enjoy running. Running is not my strong suit. So I wouldn't recommend for myself to do running just because I think that it's going to help me lose weight, right? I want to do something that's going to be enjoyable for me. So you can do, yeah, you can do hit, you can do jump rope, any type of aerobic exercise. But again, if all of this, if the nutrition and exercise, when you add it together, if it helps you, what's it called, if it helps you go into a caloric deficit, it's going to be beneficial for you. So I suggest anything is also just doing what you enjoy the most. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, last time for last question. If anybody wants to ask another thing, go ahead. No, no one. Okay, I'm gonna wait a few more last 10 seconds for you to ask a question if you want to ask a question. You can always DM me on Instagram, it's fine. Wow, good job. It's working naman. I lost 7 pounds in 2 months, but I just don't know anything else. Good job, babe. Yeah. So okay. Last five, four, three, two, one. Okay, the one. Okay, I'm gonna share something because Lexi asked this. So Lexi actually shared that she asked me a question of how do you know the simplest way, how do you know that you are consuming enough calories? I would say that for me, progress photos, for example, I recommend everyone to take progress photos because you can see the change after a certain amount of period of time. Generally, it's always 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is the optimum period that you should check it. Um, if it's not, if it's not changing, if you are not seeing the results that you are, it's probably you should probably address the type of training that you are doing, or you need to address the type of food that you are consuming. You are probably still not eating in a deficit. Okay. Now, if you want to go into a deficit, I recommend is you go into complex carbs, so eating oatmeal, wheat bread, all of that. Um, and then remove one type of carb generally at night. If you work out in the morning, do it the other way around. Remove it in the morning, eat at night. So you would eat 1 cup of rice at night. If you work out in the evening, eat eat remove the carb from the night meal, the nighttime meal. Okay, I hope that clears everything out. Okay, no more questions. Thank you so much, ladies. Can we take a group photo? Is Sophie still here? Can we take a group
Yeah, I'm
photo?
still here.
Hello,
Hi.
I hope you learned something.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Super.
hello, Kate, you're here.
I love the questions also. Thank you so much, girls.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, Monina. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to always message me on Instagram. It's totally fine. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's take a photo. Ah, yay. Thanks, dude, for. Thank you, ladies, for joining. Okay. Let's take a photo. Please turn on your cameras. Okay. One, two, three. Okay. One more. Wacky. One. How are you feeling today? Show me how you are feeling today. One, two, three. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your time. I hope you learned something. Thank you. Have a great weekend.